Hello, everybody. Right, I should just explain what's kind of happened. I've got the recording software Camtasia running, and over the past 3 days, it has let me down again and again and again. So what I've been trying to do is trying to do it in like 10-minute segments, and it hasn't really worked that well. So the last kind of time I did it, it was missing a big chunk in the middle. And the time before that, it was missing a chunk at the end. So I've got lots of little videos and nothing kind of all complete. So what I'll do is I'll go through what I've got so far. So this is my Unreal project. So I'll go through what I've got so far, and I'll go through the whole process kind of again. So where I've got blueprint stuff, I'll delete it all and put it in again. Okay, so, but what I want to do is to show you what, just make sure the volume's up, to show you what I've, steady on, to show you kind of where I am at the moment so you can get there. I've had some emails for people who are having problems with advanced stuff. I have a couple of emails from people who are having problems with the very basics. So you're probably somewhere in between that. So let's go. So I'm using a controller, which you can hear every time I press it, it makes a noise. Not sure whether that's I'll just make sure that's actually carrying on plugging in. See, it's a bit dodgy. I'm using a university computer here. So I'm going to be using that and not so much the key mappings. So what I've got is I did these in Maya. Is that my blueprint? Oh, it's my blueprint class, that's why. So I did these animations in Maya, and they're very, very simple. I'm going to redo the other blend space, but basically I've got here I've got an idle. It's very, very basic. I've got what's the idle again? So I've got, confusing, they called it Running Man, which I think, oh, that's the running one. The Running Man run. I've got my skeleton here. So for my skeletal mesh, got the walk here. I don't like this walk. That's awful, but it's okay. It kind of took me 20 minutes. I've got my the jump bits. So jump start, the jump middle. That needs a bit more work, and the jump end. So I animated those as one kind of continuous jump, and then when it came in from Maya, I basically exported a certain amount of frames. And when I went in here, there was blank frames, so you can go in here. Beg your pardon. Well, you can go in here and you can remove frames that you don't need. So that's where I am at the moment. The project works, but I'm going to go in and unwork it so we can put it back. So first of all, I'm going to delete everything. So I'm going to pause the video and delete everything, and then we'll do it. So now I've got rid of the character pawn, I've got rid of the blend space, and I've got rid of the animation blueprint. So they're the three things that kind of bind all these things together. So first of all, I'll go through the project settings. So I'd never have to do them again. It's infernally boring. So we go through project settings, and we'll go through the input first of all. So most of these, if you started from the blueprint, the third-person blueprint that comes with Unreal. This is what you get anyway. So you get your key mappings, and you get your left thumbstick for move forward and move back. You get the move right on the thumbstick, on the x-axis, and then the turn rate on the right thumbstick on the x-axis, and the right thumbstick is the lookup. That's all you really need to bother about, so that's fine. I've got a game mode. I've deleted my pawn. Pause for laughter. Defeated the pawn class, so my game mode doesn't have a pawn in it. So first of all, I'm going to create a pawn class. So see, this is what happens. It sometimes tells me it's recording and sometimes tells me it's not. It's a very old version of Camtasia, so I waffled on for about 5 minutes and it wasn't recording. So I have to keep an eye on this little sausage at the side, because it sometimes says pause and it sometimes doesn't. Okay, so occasionally it'll kind of disappear on me. So I'm going to create a character pawn, and I'm going to call that Running Man. I say named Running Man after the Arnold Schwarzenegger film. Running Man. This is the pawn. There he is. Running Man pawn. I'm going to go into there, and there's a couple of things I need to do first, which is go into mesh and grab my skeletal mesh. There he is. And make sure he's placed nicely in the capsule, and rotate him by 90 so he's nicely in there. And then, as we did with the vehicle, I'm going to create a spring arm. And I'm going to position that spring arm kind of behind his head. I'm going to rotate it a tiny bit. And then on top of that spring arm, I'm going to get a camera. Pink, and it pops in there. That's fine. That's what all we're going to do at the moment in here. We'll be coming back to this later on. We'll be coming back mostly to link up the animation blueprint when we've got that, and to sort out a couple of controller issues. But just save and pop out of here. Is it recording? Yeah, it's still recording, so we've got that bit. So the next thing I'm going to do as a break from the program is I'm going to create a blend space. Now normally I create 1D blend space, but this time I'm just going to create a normal blend space. So I'm going to call it Running Man blend space. Here you've got kind of size and direction and all that, but this is dependent on speed. See if it's still, no, it doesn't work. There's my blend space there. Ooh, steady on. So I'm going to put in first of all my animations. So at the moment it's not got any animations in, so I'm going to put in the idle, the walk and the run. Okay, so first of all I'm going to put in idle. And then I'm going to put in a walk. And I'm going to put in the run. So now, it hasn't been doing this for the past few bits. You know, usually you can click on here so it goes, and it looks quite nice because you can click and move this, and you can tell where it is. But see, if you drag that, I have to drag this now, and it's running, and it's slowing down. Okay. The good thing about this blend space is that you can add other things. So if you're gonna add idles along the bottom, then here you can add the backward. So if you go down here and backward, it'll play the backward animations. Because this is kind of almost like a wraparound cylinder. So if you controller goes there, you're running backwards, and there's backwards, backwards, all the way down. Okay. Here you've got your strafes. So here you're kind of, it's like 90 degrees strafe. I haven't put any strafe animations in, but you could do. You put strafes there and you run strafes there. Okay. Well, that's kind of set up now. I'm going to save that. So the speed with this, I should go back and explain. The speed is down here. Okay, so you can. This is so as the speed goes up, we'll have a variable called speed, which essentially speeds up or slows down here. Right, so I've done the blend space. So I've done the blend space now. I've got my animations, idle, jump, and all that kind of stuff, and I've got my pawn. So the next thing to do is create an animation blueprint. So I'm just going to go for an animation blueprint. It's an anim instance, and it's the running man skeleton. I'm going to call it Running Man BP. Now this is the thing that will be connected to the character. So this is the thing that will be connected to the character pawn. So the character pawn will allow you to kind of run around and do stuff. So if I just drag the pawn in there, you see the camera's working well. See, if I played this now, oh, I've gone through the floor. I've gone through the floor. Because the I haven't put the default pawn class in. What did I call it? Running man pawn. There. I should. Oh, does it work? No, I haven't. Oh, I haven't connected up the controls to it yet. But I should, when I've connected up the controls, in the event graph of the character pawn, be able to move it around. I can't yet. Silly me. But that's the next thing to do, to connect the controls up. And then what you do is you take the vector. The vectors have a size and direction, so the vector, and then you take the speed component of that vector. So it basically looks at how you're moving around, and it feeds that speed into the animation idle, the blend space. It feeds that into the blend space, and then the blend space gives you the reaction here on screen. So the next thing to do is I'm going to do the animation blueprint. Then I'll go back and I'll link up the controls so that they move forward and move right from the control input into the character pawn. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll grab the blueprint, and this here is every tick of the animation. This is what will be displayed. So this is the final animation pose. Now in here, what we need is a state machine, which will feed us back what the blend space is doing. New state machine. So here's my new state machine, and I'm going to call it animation state machine. Well, great name. I'm going to link that up. So this is inside the state machine, and inside the state machine I've got my blend space. Remember the blend space that I was saying that the blend space takes the speed component and basically adds it in. Sorry, it just went off again there. So what I'll do is I'll add the blend space. So I've got it in my asset browser. I've created, that was the blend space I created before. So I'm running around blend. Now this has to be connected to there. Now it's from this that you can get various things like the jump going. So I'm going to put in the jumps here in a second. I'm just going to get the guy running first, rather than going madly into doing the jump space now, because I think it's probably best if we get everything kind of working first. So I'm just going to save and compile that. So now I've got my blend space, which is basically set up, animation blueprint, which is set up. I've got my animations from Maya, and I've got my pawn class. The next thing I'm going to do is hook up that pawn class, and then I'm going to go back into animation blueprint and sort all that out. So I'm going in, so I'm looking for the pawn there. Looking for the pawn. How many times am I going to have to record that? It just seems weird. Right, here I'm in the event graph of the pawn. So what I need is the inputs to move forward and move right, and these are the inputs that we defined in the project settings, the inputs. So it's again this process of linking up the axis from your controller into, nothing to do with the animation at the moment, it's the axis for controller into that character pawn. And then both of these go to add movement input. Just copy that. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is get the control rotation. This is basically for the rotation of the character. I'm just going to pull this over here a little bit, and then I'm going to get two functions here. So first one is out of that rotation. So I'm basically, this function gets the controller rotation as a whole, and what it does is it breaks it. It breaks that rotator. I just want the yaw function. If you think about like a plane or a ship, yaw is the kind of the direction generally on the ground plane that you're kind of facing. So I want that yaw. I'm going to make, seems odd that I'm breaking it and then making it. So the yaw. But then I'm going to split it into two vectors. Whoa, just move this out of the way. So I'm going to split this into two vectors. First, the vector is the forward vector, and the other one is the right vector. So I'm going to get forward vector. That shows me where the axis, what direction it is. The other one is get right vector. Sorry, I got the wrong vectors there. I got the actor vector. I don't want the actor vector. I want just a vector. So forward. Just want this vector here. That's why it won't. Okay, so now we've basically set up this part of the controller. Right, so at the moment what we've done is we haven't put the turning on it. So what it should do when I play this bit is it should essentially give us the basic movement. So let's try it. Yeah, that's looking good. So this is the game mode, running man pawn. Click on it, using the controller. Yeah, that's fine. So it doesn't give us anything more than that. The animations aren't set up, but you can run it around. And the capsules work. Look at that. Brilliant. So next thing to do is add more controls so I get a proper rotation, because at the moment my other thumbstick, my right thumbstick, doesn't actually work at the moment and do anything. The left thumbstick does, and then once we've done that, we can start on the animation blueprint. I'm just going to stop this here. I don't want it to go on for too long, so we're on 25 minutes, which isn't too bad. Hopefully Camtasia is going to be all right with this, so I'm going to make the video, have a cup of tea, come back and do the second half. See you then.